Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lohr. Terry Fontenot was at it again this afternoon, trading for former number 3 overall pick Jeff Okudah, who was drafted out of Ohio State. He was expected to be absolutely locked down. I mean, when you talk about guys who come into the draft, Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain, Jeff Okudah was supposed to be up there. It didn't turn out well. He kind of he didn't start every game as a rookie, really struggled, tore his Achilles in 2021. But he bounced back and had a pretty good 2022, and they traded a fifth-round pick for him. To me, this is a win-win for both sides. It looks like his career was coming to an end in Detroit regardless. They weren't going to pick up his fifth-year option. They get a fifth-round pick, and the Falcons get secondary depth. Now, I don't know if he's going to be CB2, but he definitely has the upside to be. And you put him across A.J. Terrell with a fresh start, there's a little bit to be excited about, just not only there, but just in the entire secondary as a whole.
Yeah, and the pick that they traded away, they do not have their own fifth-round pick. That belongs to Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure that was the Bryan Edwards trade. But the Falcons traded away 159, which they got for Calvin Ridley, which is really at the back end of the fifth round, so it was almost a sixth-round pick. I really like the upside here. You're buying his stock for 1 year, and if he's not good after 1 year, you can cut ties. They do have to make a decision on his fifth-year option in about a month, but I don't see them picking that up. There's no reason to take the gamble. We saw him do it with Caleb McGarry and kind of give him a prove-it year, and it worked out. So I'm not too concerned about it. I think that it was a solid pickup. I really, really, really like the value. Okudah was really highly touted coming out of college for a reason, and he's gotten better every year. He hasn't been great, but he has improved. He was decent last year. But I like the upside play. He's going to be in a very talented secondary. He's got Jesse Bates and A.J. Terrell. Those are going to be two of the best defensive back teammates he's ever had. And let's see what he can do. I'm a fan. I love the pickup. He likes to wear number 1, so that's recently become available. But I like Okudah a lot. I think this is a really low-risk, high-reward pickup.
Well, I don't feel that way. I do agree that it's a low risk because just like you said, Jake, there's no way they pick up his fifth-year option. I think it's like around $11.5 million. And that's ridiculous to already guarantee, and you never even seen him play. Like you guys mentioned, struggled with injuries. And when he was on the field this past year, I remember him being pretty good. But towards the end of the year, he was bad again. And that could be, the injury coming back. He hasn't played a full season coming off the Achilles tear. It's probably difficult for anybody. I don't think anybody should expect him to be what everybody thought he was going to be, especially after the Achilles injury. Those aren't, impossible to come back from, but they're definitely serious. I like it because it's low risk, but I think everybody should temper their expectations. There's no way he's cornerback 2. And there's no way that they part ways with Casey Hayward. I think that Terry Fontenot learned his lesson last year. We were talking about it before this. Depth in cornerback room looks great now. Chase said, Cornell Armstrong probably not starting a game now, which is great news. So, I think Okudah is just depth, and anything else is just, a cherry on top. I would be shocked. Let me just say this. I would be shocked if he came out and everybody was, raving about him. I would be shocked if he came out and surprised everybody.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone should be expecting that. I think if you are expecting that, you're just setting the bar too high. If you're expecting this guy to come in and be, a depth piece, maybe CB4 with the potential to win the job as CB2 over Casey Hayward, we'll see what happens with that. Then I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And as you said, it's all about the upside here. You gave up a fifth-round pick for essentially a guy with some upside. I think they traded for him. They probably liked him in the draft. There's a reason for this. So I think if you view him as a depth piece that could potentially win out the CB2 battle, and listen, as we saw last year, guys are going to get injured. Like, it doesn't matter if he is CB2. At some point, most likely, A.J. Terrell, Casey Hayward, or both of them are going to be out for at some point. So he's going to get some starts at some point in the season. And I think that's the big thing here is the Falcons' depth last year in the cornerback room was so putrid. Darren Hall was the CB1 for a big part of the year. Cornell Armstrong was starting across from him. And listen, he did good, but he should be CB7. And you really need 5, 6, 7 guys if you want to have a successful team. And I also think looking at Okudah's struggles, he was playing in a secondary that was just atrocious. It wasn't just him, but bad. It was an all-around terrible unit. So, listen, they probably were asking a little too much of him in general. So I do think there's potential there. I do like overall just the overall group they built in the secondary, and I think it's okay to be excited about the overall room. And I think Okudah adds to that.
I want
think
to
the
say a
Falcons
few
got better.
things. Let me say a few things. Terrell in 2021 was an all-pro and was playing in a dog shit secondary, so that doesn't fly. Second of all, a fifth-round pick, like we said to Brian Edwards, I'm just pushing back a little bit. It's nothing. Turned out Tyler Allgeier's a stud. Taquan Graham is a very good player. I mean, they are less valuable for sure. I'm not saying they're valuable picks, but don't you want more darts to throw? I think Okudah's kind of played it out. I don't want to say he's cooked by any means, but the dude can't stay healthy. And when he was healthy, he wasn't anything great. He got benched last year, I'm pretty sure. I think everybody should. He got benched towards the end of the year. I'm very certain of that.
I don't know. I think he played in every game. So
I'm glad you brought this up too. I'm glad you brought up the 5th round of this draft because I've looked at it and I haven't had as much time to look over draft stuff. And obviously, I'm not some GM wizard, but I don't really love the 5th round of this draft. I don't think it's very good as it has been in years past. I used to be able to go 3 or 4 guys deep in the 5th round, and there's not a lot of guys that I'm crazy about. Maybe the Falcons feel the same way. I'm more concerned with the 1st round because now you look at it and Detroit really feels like they're going cornerback. It was already a possibility before. Now it just feels like a certainty. They might take my guy, Devin Witherspoon, probably my favorite defender outside of Jalen Carter and Will Anderson in this class. And then there's Christian Gonzalez, and that's somebody we know the Falcons are reported to be very high on. So who knows? That might shake up things for the 1st round pick as well. I still don't think cornerback's out of the question at any time. You still need some fresh blood in there. Like you said, Chase, you can never have enough bodies, but we'll see. I think it definitely changes the approach. Cornerback is definitely not a must-have. I don't think any position's really a must-have, but it could definitely impact the first round.
Yeah, no position is a must-have right now. So everything's on the table, and I still think cornerback is on the table because, listen, like you just said, they're probably not going to pick up his 5th-year option. It would be very shocking if they did that. So this guy's going to be likely a free agent next year, and he very well could be gone. So when you're looking at the future plans, I don't think Okudah is – we're talking about future plans. We're talking about a depth piece for this year. Hopefully, hey, listen, maybe he shows up and he's a lot better and he's a lot improved and he stays healthy and he's able to take over a starting role and you give him another contract. But I think that's best case scenario, and that's not what they're thinking about going into this draft. So
even in that scenario, I bet he'll get a 1-year deal or 2-year deal worth less than his 5th-year option, even if he does do all those things.
Yeah. I mean, the 5th-year option to me is just off the table.
I agree,
and
I think cornerback is still on the table.
Yeah,
for all those reasons you just said. I think everything's on the table. They're going to do it every single year, especially this early in the building process. They're just trying to get good guys in the building. I saw people mention, just like you just said, Jake, kind of setting up the lines to take that corner, which would, potentially, if the Seahawks pass on Jalen Carter, he's getting closer to the Falcons. And again, there's no substantial evidence that the Falcons are interested in Jalen Carter. But, a month ago, 2 months ago, we were talking about this guy's the best player in the draft. If we're talking, best player available, it's getting closer and closer to potentially we're going to see Jalen Carter there at 8.
Yeah, and Drew Rosenhaus said, he wasn't taking calls outside the top 10 because somebody said they're going to take him. And that could have been the Bears and the Eagles, but it very easily could have been the Falcons too. I don't think anyone has any inclination. I don't think there's any insiders that say, hey, absolutely not. I know the guy from the Athletic, I'm forgetting, Josh Kendall, is that his name? I know he said they should get used to the idea of passing on him, but that he even said that's not insider information. That's just a gut feeling he has. And I don't share that gut feeling because I think a lot of these things, now we're a little bit further away from the whole Jalen Carter saga. I think all these teams do their due diligence. And if they heard good things, the player that he is going to be taken if he's the best player available. And he will be the best player available if he's there at 8.
Yeah, and like I said, I really wouldn't rule out cornerbacks because this is a good group. And now I think the Falcons could be even more open to a trade down, which is something that I'm pretty fond of most of the time. You talk about quarterbacks getting pushed up the board. Maybe a Jalen Carter is available. So we'll see. I do think they still have all of their options on the table, but I'm not ruling out cornerback yet. But I really like the Okudah pickup. I think it was a solid move for the price they paid.